Hello, I'm Taner Demirci Lopez. I hope you're all doing well. Today I would like to talk about is drinking alcohol is forbidden in the Quran. I'm going to show you some verses, three specific verses that God says about something about alcohol, and there is a prohibition, but we're trying to understand what is the thing that God, according to the Quran, says not to do to all believers. So let's start with the first verse. It's in the chapter 2, verse number 219. It says, part of it, it says, they question thee about wine and gambling. I put this wine and gambling together, and you will understand the reason of it right now. Say, in them is great sin and some profit for men, but the sin is greater than the profit. So, in wine and gambling, according to this verse, there is a big sin in it, okay, and some profit. All right, let's go to the chapter 5 and verse number 90. It says, O ye who believe, wine and gambling, stones and arrows are an abomination, part of the work of Satan. So avoid it in order that you may prosper. So if you believe in the Quran, if you see avoid it, so it's a direct order from God. It says that just don't do it. So it is a prohibition about these things. But what we're going to do talk about these things, there is a new opinion that says Quran is not prohibits the usage of alcohol and wine because there is no penalty on that. So this is not an argument to say that the Quran does not prohibit the usage of alcohol, because if you see in the verse number 5 and 90, it clearly states here, avoid it. So when it says avoid it, that means it's forbidden if you believe in the Quran. But what I'm going to say, that even here it is forbidden, the verse is not talking about wine. Let's continue. So I'm going to read the verse chapter 2 and verse number 219 again, in order to understand the context, because the context is the key here. All right, they say about wine and gambling. Say, in them is a great sin and some profit for men, but the sin is greater than the profit. And they ask thee what they ought to spend. This is very important. Say, what is beyond your needs. This is how God explains His revelation, that ye may reflect. So the context is here. The context is the believer is asking what to give, what to spend. The word infaq means when you spend for the others. So they are talking about what are we going to donate. And the verse says, what is beyond your needs. So it is basically saying, instead of putting your money, investing your money, wine and gambling, it doesn't say and wine and the gambling, because there is no such prohibition in the Quran. The 3 times that wine is forbidden, it comes with the word gambling. So there is no any word that's saying the wine or intoxicants are forbidden. Three times, it's mentioned three times. And all those three times, the prohibition comes with the gambling. Because you can deduct that when the times of Arabs, they were an event that they call Khamr wal Maisir, the event of wine and gambling. It means that one particular day within the week, or 2 or 3 days a week, they went there to wine and Khamr wal Maisir, like a party of drink and play, gambling. It's saying, instead of going there, instead of investing your money in wine and gambling, the event of gambling, the money that you don't need anymore, it is to spend, to infaq. Particularly, precisely, just 4 verses before, the believers again ask the Prophet Muhammad. It says, they ask thee what or to whom they should spend. And it says, the verse says, say, whatever you spend for good is for parents and kindred and orphans and the needy and for wayfarers. And whatsoever good you do, God knows it well. So the entire context of the verses is the believers that are asking the Prophet to whom they should spend and what they're going to spend. They say, what is beyond your needs. So don't, and they, in this context, they say, so what about wine and gambling? That event, it says, in that event, it's a great sin and some profit. So there is no direct prohibition. The prohibition is to this event when the people invest their money, excuse me, to this event. Now let's continue with the chapter number 5 and the verse number 90. It says, O ye who believe, wine and gambling, stones and arrows are an abomination, part of the work of Satan. So avoid it in order that you may prosper. The traditional way of translating this verse is that stones is like divination stones or an arrow, divination arrows. It has nothing to do with that. The arrows, it's when you just select one arrow. If it's large, you win the money. If it's short, you lost the money. Stones in the same way. So the entire context here in the chapter 5 and 19, when wine is mentioned, the entire context is about gambling. The event that I mentioned before, wine and gambling, stones and arrows are an abomination, part of the Satan work. So avoid it. It doesn't say avoid them because they are not different things. It says fajtanibuhu, who. It says avoid it. It means gambling. The entire context is gambling. It's not wine. It's not about wine. And the next verse, which is the third time appear in the Quran, this wine and gambling, it's what it says. It's again together with gambling. It said Satan's plan is to excite enemy and hatred between you with wine and gambling, because in those events the people just go there, invest their money, and they fight against them. Hatred. Just opposite when you go to your friends and you have some beer and wine and you laugh. It's opposite. But when you lose money, you are enemy of the other person. And the context is, instead of giving your money, investing your money what is beyond your need, instead of investing to the people in need, or your father and your mother or your parents or the orphans, don't give that money to a person that hates you, that wants to steal from you. And hinder you from the remembrance of God, because you think about putting money on going back this night again to another gambling party with alcohol and everything over there. You don't remember God. And from salat. Salat, in my understanding, salat is not the prayer. Salat is the to support, when the believers are supporting each other. So this kind of play, gambling, is just try to push you out from remembrance of God and the salat. Will you not even abstain? So this is my understanding, my friends. For me, it's clear there is no prohibition at all of drinking wine or alcoholic drinks in the Quran. In other verse, it says, don't perform salat, don't do salat when you are drunk. Think about that. It says, when you are drunk, don't perform salat. Don't go where the people are is talking, and because if you go, you will say things that maybe hurt some feelings of others. You are not conscious what you're saying, and so on. But there is no prohibition in the Quran that you cannot drink you cannot drink alcohol, basically. The problem is that the understanding of the verse, it's talking about giving to the people in need, because the center of the Quranic religion is about believe in God and help to other people, not about some rituals or don't drink alcohol or something like that without explanation. If you drink alcohol, according to the hadith, you will go to the hell. The hell will burn you, just because you just had a cup of wine at your dinner, or when it was very hot in the summer, a cold beer. There is no such prohibition in the Quran. Alright guys, if you have other things to say, please add it on the comments. Forgive me if I made some mistake. See you next time. Be safe.